That was a pretty fun episode to jump back into Star versus the Force of Evil reviews with. Nice and action-packed with a good moral at the end, which is kind of what I've come to expect from this show, though I will point out that the action element has kind of been downplayed ever since Ludo kind of became a co-main character. Now that he doesn't show up pretty much every week to wreak havoc, the show has to go elsewhere for action elements, and there haven't actually been as many, which I really appreciate. That's sort of a permanent mix-up to the formula that I can really respect. Most shows wouldn't be willing to go there. The plot of this episode is exceedingly simple. There is a gathering of the Queen and the King's families. The Queen's side of the family is very preppy and proper, whereas the King's side of the family isn't. They're basically barbarians. And they don't get along, and it seems like every time they do this, something will eventually spur them on to play a game called Flags, which is basically King of the Hill, except rather than trying to reach the top of a hill, you have to reach the top of a mountain with a bunch of different hazard zones on it. Star wants to participate, and in fact she's been looking forward to participating, but the Queen won't let her. And I totally don't blame her. Once we see this thing going on, it's exceedingly dangerous. And the two sides are really savage, straight up trying to murder each other in some cases. Star argues that the Queen herself used to play at Star's age, but the Queen fires back with, there were a lot of things she did at Star's age that she shouldn't have done and that Star is not going to do. But Star manages to sneak into the competition anyway, and she starts to behave as savagely as her family. Eventually, though, Marco gets through to her, makes her realize that she's not behaving like herself, and so rather than trying to put her own flag at the top and win for herself, she tries to put the flags of everybody at the top and win for everyone, to show solidarity between the two families, which wins the approval of her mother, who shows up to stop the competition at the very end. There were actually a few good messages here, some self-contained to the show itself, and some just kind of general good messages. The first was another example of this show giving us a moral that most shows really wouldn't. Star is not her mother, and she shouldn't risk herself on the grounds that her mother used to take unnecessary risks. Just because her mom was reckless doesn't mean that she has to be reckless. She should learn from her mother's example. That's not something you see in cartoons for kids very often, and I really appreciated that being there. There was also a message about overcoming differences rather than letting them fester, which I thought was pretty nice. And then we have the Queen's statement near the end of the episode that Star is a good blend of what makes the two families great. And while that can pertain to the negative aspects of the families as well, it pertains to the positive aspects. As long as Star keeps that in mind as she grows older, she can become a blend of the best things about these two families, and I think that's a really cool idea. There certainly is a middle ground between the behaviors of the two families that I think is kind of an improvement over both. Let's not kid ourselves here. We also got to see, I don't even know what you would call it, like the insectoid form of Star's mom, which was very neat. Overall, a very cool episode. Really enjoyed it. But as per usual, guys, what did you think of this episode? If you have seen it, let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.